Good morning and thanks for tuning into Daybreak. I'm your host, Taylor Spirito.
And I'm your host, Nick Tomarello.
On today's episode, we take a look at what new major is being introduced to the School of Business here at Point Park, plus more city and campus news.
And our reporters get you up to date on the latest in entertainment, sports, and national news.
All that and more. Wake up and smell the coffee, Pittsburgh. Daybreak starts now.
Start your mornings with us, only on Daybreak.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Daybreak. Now, Taylor, we just got off of our spring break this past week, and the weather for spring break was not good.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like to get away for spring break, go to certain places like maybe Cancun or Florida, like all of my friends are at because their spring break is right now. But I know that we kind of stayed a little bit local, stayed in the Atlantic Northwest or Northeast. I can't direction today. Northeast a little bit, but so we still got that cold weather, you know?
Of course, but hopefully it's going to warm up. Haley Keys is over at the weather. Haley, please give us some good news.
Guys, it looks like we're going to have some good news. We're definitely going to see some warmer temperatures. So if we take a look at our 3-day forecast, tomorrow it's going to be partly cloudy and you can already see the temperatures rising with a high of 49 and a low of 42. Moving into Sunday, we're going to have a high of 61 and we may even see the sun. It's going to be pretty partly cloudy that day too. So we definitely may not even need jackets on Sunday, which is a pretty crazy concept, but we definitely are looking forward to those temperatures, so it's good. And then moving into Monday, once again, it's going to be partly cloudy and it's going to dip down a little bit to 47, but the temperatures are going to stay pretty high for this time of year. So that's all I have for weather. Let's send it back over to the couch with Nick and Taylor.
61 degrees on Sunday.
I know.
I cannot wait for that. And just this past week, there's been snow, wind, even rain at some points. It's just, I cannot wait.
Basically all 4 seasons, and I think we really deserve this 60-degree
We
weather,
do.
especially after, February was so cold, January obviously was so cold, and March has been cold so far, so I'm really looking forward to just spending that day outside and just kind of enjoying the weather.
Me too.
And here's your city and campus news. 35-year-old Michael McCullough of Pittsburgh's North Side was named the suspect of a shooting that occurred in downtown Monday night at the corner of 7th and Liberty Avenue. According to WTAE, the altercation happened near the T station on Wood Street, and Port Authority officers responded to the incident once multiple shots were fired. Witnesses say McCullough was apprehended in the North Side at the 9th Street Bridge. McCullough is currently facing several charges, including attempted homicide, and according to WTAE, the victim has been listed in critical yet stable condition.
Mayor Bill Peduto issued an executive order on Monday for new policies on autonomous vehicle testing and development in Pittsburgh. According to the 3-page document, the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure will publish guidelines for testing self-driving vehicles on public streets and also focus on protecting pedestrians, bicyclists, and public transportation users. Current autonomous vehicle companies in Pittsburgh include Aptiv, Argo AI, Aurora Innovation, Carnegie Mellon University, and of course, Uber. Mayor Peduto spoke at the signing, stating, quote, "My hope is that this executive order will not only provide the necessary platform and process to do that for our city, but serve as a model for cities and places across the globe."
Recently, Pittsburgh was named 8th in the United States for most livable city for 2019. According to livability.com, the Steel City scored a total of 665 live points, 200 off of first place Boise, Idaho. Katie Gilronan, PR and media manager of Flex Jobs, told Livability that, quote, "Pittsburgh has a certain beauty and grittiness that, in my opinion, doesn't exist elsewhere," end quote. Highlights of the burg that Livability discusses in the list include economic advantages, unique infrastructure, ways to pass downtime, and of course, the plethora of bridges that graze the landscape.
In campus news, you may have noticed some brand new dining options at the Playhouse Cafe. Culinar is now offering fruit blend or fruit bowls, noodle bowls, and flatbread pizzas. The fruit and blend bowls as well as the noodle bowls are not part of the meal exchange options. Students can order these items at the Playhouse Cafe Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And you also may have noticed the construction in the Point Cafe that started before spring break. Culinar General Manager Katie Jacob told our friends at the Globe that the space is simply new offices for the management team.
Point Park announced a new major in the Roland School of Business titled Marketing and Sales. Students who choose this major can concentrate in marketing management, professional sales, or generalist. And for those who are still interested and can't major in marketing, the new program comes hand in hand with a minor. According to Point Park's website, the program is designed to, quote, teach you to research, identify, and interpret data, as well as effectively present information, influence, and negotiate in this growing career field, end quote. For more information, be sure to visit www.pointpark.edu.
Former political cartoonist for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette held an event at the Center for Media Innovation last Friday. Rob Rogers was fired in June of 2018 for drawing critical cartoons of our 45th president, Donald Trump. Around 200 people attended the event, which showcased unpublished cartoons that the Post-Gazette rejected, and also allowed attendees to purchase signed copies of Rogers' new book, Enemy of the People, A Cartoonist's Journey. Andy Conti, director of the CMI, plans on inviting Rogers back to Point Park in the future to speak to students.
Now, Nick, I know that the Rob Rogers event happened over spring break, and I know that I got your email to attend it. Obviously, I wasn't on campus, but you did get to attend the event. How was that, and what's he doing now?
Well, right now he is doing a lot of freelance work, but with this event, as I said, it focused on a lot of his unpublished work, and they were on display in the Center for Media Innovation. He also had his brand new book come out that he was signing. There was about 200 or so people that attended the event, all to see him. I did have the opportunity to introduce him, and he gave a little speech, but it was an awesome event.
That's so cool to hear, but stay tuned because after the break, find out the latest in Pittsburgh sports.
And find out what Michael Cohen is doing to flare up national headlines.
We'll have all that and more coming up on Daybreak.
Three, two, one.
Here at the Pioneer sideline,
We cover the real sports.
On another season, the Penguins are just getting started with the regular season this week.
Pioneer sideline.
The show that starts your Friday mornings has returned with both familiar and new faces. Daybreak hosts Taylor Fife and Delaney Bomas are bringing you the latest updates in Pittsburgh and Point Park news. We also have a variety of talent on our free segments. Whether it be singing, dancing, or indeed egg smashing. Start your mornings with us at Daybreak on UView at UView Television.
Welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Lindsay Carson with your latest Pittsburgh sports news. The Pittsburgh Penguins faced off against the Florida Panthers on Tuesday, March 5th. It was a close game and it ended up going into overtime. Penguins forward Jake Gensel scored in overtime, making the final score of the game Penguins 3, Panthers 2. They're currently in a wild card spot for the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are only about a month away. Fans are hoping the Pens secure a playoff spot, but are skeptical due to the fact that they have 4 players out due to injuries. Moving on from hockey to baseball, the Pittsburgh Pirates have started spring training. Chris Archer, who the Pirates acquired during a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays last season, has impressed fans with his pitching against the Baltimore Orioles last Tuesday. However, Pirates manager Clint Hurdle has told the press that there are still some things the Pirates need to work on before their regular season starts on April 1st. Now going from the diamond to the gridiron, there's been a lot of talk about the Steelers trading Antonio Brown. If they don't move him by March 17th, the Steelers will have to award Brown a $2.5 million roster bonus, so it's likely that he will be traded before then. Moving on from what Americans call football to what the rest of the world calls football, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, have been doing really well during preseason, having won 5 out of the 8 games they've played so far and tying the other 3. The regular season starts on Saturday, March 16th against the Tampa Bay Rowdies in St. Petersburg, Florida. That's all I have for sports, and now I'll send it over to Andrew Brinker for your national news. Andrew?
Thanks, Lindsay. Democrats protested in the House chamber on Wednesday as Republicans pushed to pass a resolution that would indirectly penalize newly elected Congresswoman Ilhan Omar over alleged anti-Semitic comments. According to the Washington Post, Democrats became outraged as Republicans moved to vote on a resolution later in the week that would condemn anti-Semitism following comments made by Representative Omar on supporters of Israel in the United States. Democratic backlash came in response to Republicans' lack of action regarding racist and discriminatory comments, made by President Donald Trump and other top Republicans in the past. While argument took place on Wednesday, President Trump tweeted of the resolution, quote, "It is shameful that House Democrats won't take a stronger stand against anti-Semitism in their conference. Anti-Semitism has fueled atrocities throughout history, and it's inconceivable that they will not act to condemn it." Meanwhile, Tuesday, Democrats worked to expand that resolution into condemning other types of religious discrimination, such as anti-Muslim comments alongside anti-Semitism. And Michael Cohen, President Trump's former attorney, provided documents to the House Intelligence Committee that could potentially serve as evidence of crimes committed by the president on Wednesday. Some of the documents backed up claims that Cohen made in front of Congress last week regarding changes to a statement that Trump made to Congress in 2017 that he knew to be false. Some of those changes made by President Trump's lawyers were in regard to the length of negotiations over a Trump Tower project in Moscow that is said to be Cohen's final appearance in front of Congress. That's it this week for National News. Let's send it over to Jess Dillon with your weekly entertainment wrap-up.
Thanks, Andrew. Actor Luke Perry died on March 4th after suffering a massive stroke. The actor rose to fame with his role in Beverly Hills 90210 from 1990 to 95 and again from 98 to 2000. More recently, Perry was known for his role in the popular Netflix show Riverdale. Perry's co-stars took to Twitter to commemorate their coworker and friend. Lily Reinhart said on Twitter Monday afternoon, quote, "I just can't believe he isn't going to be around anymore," end quote. Perry left behind his 2 children, Jack and Sophie. He was 52 years old. Taylor Swift has recently been making a comeback on her Instagram. On February 24th, she posted a photo of 7 palm trees with 7 palm tree emojis as the caption. This sent her fans into a frenzy as Swift isn't very active on her social media. And her upcoming album will be the 7th one. The next day, Swift posted a photo of her sitting on a flight of stairs. Her fans were quick to Twitter to point out that she was sitting on the 6th step. Fans began to theorize that these posts might be a countdown, as hidden messages is something Swift has become known for. She kept up the trend by posting a photo of herself taken through a fence the next day. There are 5 holes in the fence, so fans thought it must be a countdown. However, Swift broke the trend by teasing her fans with a picture of her cat looking surprised with the caption, quote, "She just read all the theories," end quote. The following day's post revealed that these posts were actually leading up to Swift's Elle magazine cover. She wrote an essay for the magazine about what music means to her. She continues to post photos from her shoot with Elle, captioned with quotes from her essay. While fans were hoping for new music, we're all just glad to see her active on social media again. That's all in entertainment this week. Let's send it over to our hosts, Nick and Taylor.
Thanks, Jess. And I want to talk about the passing of Luke Perry. He played the father of Archie on Riverdale, which is what I actually knew him from. I did not have any idea that he was on 90210, but it was very sudden and quick. I know that he had this stroke and he pretty much was unresponsive until he passed away.
Right. And I remember I also watched Riverdale for a time and I knew him from that, but seeing people who loved him from 90210 and seeing photos of him from 90210, I know that he was known as the heartthrob of that show. And seeing photos, you know, you kind of can understand why, but when the stroke happened, all of his co-stars from Riverdale were quick to go to social media to say, keeping you in my thoughts, we love you, you're going to get through this. So I was very surprised when I heard that he had passed away. I know that it was the first thing that came up on my phone in the morning that it happened, and it kind of just ruined my whole day. I loved him on Riverdale, and that he was just an amazing person.
Yeah, great performance, and also he's been said that he has been one of the nicest people in Hollywood. Just a real genuine person.
Absolutely, but switching gears just a tad bit, well, more than a tad bit, I want to talk about Antonio Brown.
Yes.
I know that you're not a big sports guy, but what's your perspective on this as someone who's not, you like the Steelers, but you're not heavily invested in them?
I do. I'm definitely not a big sports fan, but I love Pittsburgh sports. And I think that there's just a lot of unnecessary drama. But I think that, if Antonio Brown goes to a different team or whatever, as long as he succeeds, as long as the Steelers succeed more than everyone else, that'll be the best.
Absolutely.
But definitely, and make sure you guys stay tuned because coming up real soon, we have an interview with one of the national finalists for the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Awards. So stay tuned.
I know just the trick. Bippity, boppity, boop! Much better. Guys, Samir Nefsky, and I'm outside of the Benedum Center right now. So in just a few moments, we're gonna go inside the Benedum Center to talk to Trevor Dion Nicholas, who plays the genie in Disney's Aladdin. I'm Samir Nefsky giving you the theatrical scoop for the Berg. Hey guys, so I'm now inside the Benedum Center with Trevor Dion Nicholas, who plays the genie in Disney's Aladdin.
Welcome back to Daybreak. Today we're joined by Point Park's representative one of them, at the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Awards in New York City over spring break. Mike Turk was a national finalist at the awards, so he's here to tell us a little bit about that experience. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here again.
I was going to say, you were here last episode.
Valentine's Day, yes, a very exciting
game. We beat you in a game, but we don't talk about
Yeah.
that. So walk us through the application process and whenever you found out that you were named a national finalist.
Yeah, okay, the application process, actually, I was at home one night, and I was watching a movie or something, I can't remember, and my color analyst, Nicole Pampino, who's a regular here, is like, hey, the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System, it has this thing every year, and I've heard of it before, but I never really looked into it. It's like, you really need to apply. She's worked with me for so long. I was like, honestly, I was like, I don't know. I've never submitted any of my work for anything, so I was a little feckless there for submitting some stuff, and she really kicked me in the butt to submit some of my work. And I looked at the application. You need to submit, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was 8 to 10 minute video of your work, and obviously mine was play-by-play for Point Park volleyball here. I've done it for 4 years. It's really holds a place in my heart here. So she is really the one who pushed me and motivated me who saw something good in me to want to go out and submit something, and I owe her forever for that.
And now you did get to go to New York City for these awards. You attended the award ceremony, also a lot of conferences. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, some of the conferences were pretty good. Taylor was there on the trip as well, I should say. The first one we went to was a play-by-play tips and tricks thing, which was pretty, obviously I was there for play-by-play. So it was interesting to stop in on that one. I've also went to one that was your on-air personality. You know, someone who is like me. I don't have the sexiest voice out there. I won't deny that. It's not the best.
But you have a great voice.
But
Yeah.
thanks, Nick. Thanks.
That's why you were nominated.
But the energy you bring to each broadcast that you are on is really what people is going to look for. Can you be personable? Can you relate to your audience out there? And that one was actually a very useful conference to attend.
So just bouncing off of that, what did you learn at these conferences that you really want to be implemented here at the student media at Point Park, whether it's the sports network or just UView?
Well, I think one of the biggest thing is they talked about your color analysts when you do play-by-play.
Yeah, they did.
And honestly, the one quote that really stuck with me is, "You're just as good as your color analyst," and that is so true. That's why Nicole and I have done so well over the years. But even when you came on for a volleyball broadcast one time, Taylor, you did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Kiara Fry was on with me one time. She filled in for Nicole. But it all depends on who your play-by-play is. And if they have to come prepared. That's a big thing. We have a freshman, Colton Tobias, here, who has really stepped up hugely here for the Point Park Sports Network in his first year. And he comes prepared to every single game. Soccer, basketball, and I'm sure it's going to be with baseball and softball when it comes up here shortly. So that's one thing you got to take away. It's all about chemistry, just not inside of the studio, but what happens outside as well. You need to be comfortable with that person on all levels.
And now, Mike, I know that you did get a chance to go around the city and go to different media outlets. I know you went to NBC, you went to New York One. Tell us about that.
Yeah, a big dream of mine was always to see 30 Rockefeller Plaza, see the ice skating rink, but Aubrey Henkin, who graduated here a while ago, I think she was gone before you guys came here, but she is a sweetheart. She was the creator of Entertainment on Point here at UView. Yes, and she now works for NBC Universal as productions coordinator up there in 30 Rock. So she gave me a private tour. A lot of security at NBC, by the way. There was a lot to go through to get through that, but she was nice enough to show me Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, where they all shoot their shows, as well as seeing the stage for Saturday Night Live. And
of course,
John Mulaney was there that week, and they were shooting. No photos allowed, unfortunately. But yeah, got to see that. And yes, New York One, Spectrum News, Dave Fabilli set that up with one of the reporters, and that was pretty cool to see how a news station outside of Pittsburgh was able to run things.
Definitely.
Honestly, it wasn't too much different, but the one thing that was different, they just recently cut sports from their news broadcasts.
Why were you there?
Really?
I know, it's very interesting. They
that would never happen here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
You think New York too? They have multiple
Yeah.
sports teams per like NBA. I mean, the Nets, the Knicks, and then football, Giants, Jets. That one was a little interesting to me that such a big state and city would cut sports from a news broadcast.
Now, transitioning a little bit to the conferences and the awards themselves. So how is it coming together with schools from all over the nation? It was a nationwide conference. Just to learn from them, do you think you taught them anything? Just how was it coming together with them, not only to learn, but to have a little friendly competition?
Yeah, friendly competition is one way to put it. My category was sports play-by-play other. So I had to go up against people from soccer. I think 2 were from soccer. Another one was from volleyball. And one was from esports. Thankfully, I didn't lose from the person from esports. I lost to a guy who did men's soccer from Goshen College out in Indiana. And, I mean, Taylor and I got to meet them. They were fantastic people from Goshen College, small town in Indiana, very talented and dedicated to what they do with their sports media. And, yeah, they gave us some tips on what to do here with Sports Network. Unfortunately, I'm not here too much longer, so I won't be able to implement too much here. But I'm hoping some stuff that I learned from them I can pass on to some of the younger kids here at Point Park. And what I taught them, oh geez, what did I teach them? That's a tough one. I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for that one. I guess I taught them a little bit about how Point Park is in downtown Pittsburgh and how to deal with a lot of sports coming with you at once in a town that is driven by sports coverage and media. And I received a lot of hatred for what Antonio Brown's doing right now. A lot of people had some comments about him.
And I know that, this event, there were so many schools that attended. You had a lot of big state schools and a lot of schools that have a bigger population than what we do here at Point Park. Have you noticed any influence that those schools have had over smaller universities just with, either production value or what they're putting out? Or do you see that maybe the smaller schools actually are doing a lot of good work?
Well, just thinking about what the award ceremony was like that night, gonna be honest, a lot of big schools did win. Temple University, always good. I mean, even when Josh Krupp was up for his Emmy and he won his Emmy, he tied with a girl from Temple University. Temple, great communications program up there as well. And Mike Fetchko went there, big guy here at Point Park, sports media marketing. And then you had some bigger ones. It was like DePaul University.
Yeah,
They won a lot of awards. And I'm trying to think, some smaller colleges. At Goshen, the one we mentioned, they won a lot of sports stuff out there. I'm trying to think, but yeah, it was a lot of big universities out there. And the smaller ones, some did win. We had one from Gannon University. I think they won a couple awards up from where Taylor's at, so yeah.
And then real quick, what's it mean to you to be a senior and to be able to go to this award ceremony? Like, all your hard work shown off in this one final hurrah.
Oh man, I was speechless. Alex Popachak called me close to 2 a.m. one night. It was like 10 minutes before I went to bed because I kept refreshing the site to see if the nominations were up. Alex Popachak had called me, actually, and left me a voicemail. I woke up at 3 a.m. that day for some reason. I was like, I got a voicemail from Pops. Oh, geez, this is either good or bad. Listen to it. He said, congratulations, you're a national finalist. I was speechless, and especially having for volleyball, a career I want to pursue and hope to pursue, this is a silver lining for me, to be honest, and I'm just grateful for everyone who's helped me get to this point, and Point Park Volleyball for welcoming me in, my boss, Kevin Taylor, coaching me to get me to this point, and to be nominated was just beyond imagining.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for coming on with us, and we definitely encourage you and can't wait to see what you do in the future. But guys, make sure you stay tuned, because coming up after the break, we have this week's Ray of Sunshine.
The United Student Government at Point Park University, working since the 1970s to solve the issues that matter to you. What concerns do you have about the university? Student life, safety, food service? Send us an email to studentconcerns@pointpark.edu or stop by our office on the 7th floor of the Student Center. You can also attend our weekly open meetings on Mondays at 3:15. Follow us on social media at USG_PPU for more. The United Student Government, by the students, for the students.
The Point Park Sports Network, bringing you live coverage of Pioneer Athletics on Stretch Internet, the home of the River States Conference and the NAIA. Subscribe today for complete access to the Point Park volleyball, baseball, basketball, and soccer teams. Watch live and on-demand broadcasts, and don't miss a minute of Point Park Athletics. Head to pointparksports.com/live for broadcast listings. The Point Park Sports Network, your streaming home for Point Park Athletics.
3, 2, 1.
Please visit our website. Please, it's a nice website. Please visit our website. Please.
If you have ever watched television, whether accidentally or on purpose, YouView is for you.
Welcome back to Daybreak. Before we say goodbye, we would like to share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
For those who may not be familiar with Daybreak's Ray of Sunshine segment, it is our way of helping you start your morning with a smile with an inspirational quote.
And this week was my week to choose the quote, and I chose, "Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence," and that was said by Helen Keller. Now, I picked this one because I know, just with that, we just had the interview with Mike with the IBS Awards. You really need to have hope and confidence to get to anything that you want to do in your life.
Right.
Absolutely. And I know, just not to toot my own horn, but a lot of people are like, oh, you're so happy all the time, or you're so positive all the time. Like, why wouldn't you be? I mean, we're here, we're having so much fun. I know I speak for the three of us when I say we're having so much fun doing this show. We're having so much fun being in college, just doing what we love. So why would you not be happy about that,
I agree, because I think when you carry that positive attitude, it carries out in everything that you do. Your work, any obstacle that you may come across, it'll be effective.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Daybreak. Don't forget to like and follow Daybreak on Facebook at Daybreak on UView.
And be sure to check out the full episode and all of our shows from UView at uview.pointpark.edu. Tune in next week for the news you need. I'm your host, Taylor Spirito.
And I'm your host, Nick Tomarello.
And I'm your host, Brianna McCall, hoping your news is good news. Have a great week, everyone.